The broken earth. Ash fell like snow over the ruins of London. What had once been the heart of human civilization now lay in silence. Jagged metal spires rising from craters, black rivers of soot carving through the wreckage. Above the shattered skyline, the Dominion's orbital dreadnoughts glowed like cold suns, their crimson beams cutting through the clouds. Humanity had lost, or so the Galactic King believed. From the underground command bunker beneath Westminster, General Elara Voss watched the broadcast on a flickering holoscreen. The towering, reptilian figure of King Jator Valis, sovereign of the Khar Dominion, stood against a backdrop of 1,000 enslaved worlds. His golden armor shimmered with the arrogance of the eternal victor. "People of Earth," he intoned, his voice resonating through every frequency, "you have fought well for savages. But resistance to the Dominion is futile. Surrender, and your species will serve. Resist, and you will be erased." The message ended. Static filled the room. Elara's jaw tightened. Her reflection, faint against the hollow's dying light, showed a woman worn by grief, but sharpened by fury. Short-cropped dark hair, the faint scar tracing down her cheek, eyes as cold as the void. Behind her, the bunker trembled as another orbital strike hit the ruins above. "Ma'am, command requests evacuation," said Captain Darius Holt, her second in command. His armor was dented, his face pale beneath the grime. "We've got a transport ready in Dock Tunnel 7. It's over, Elara." She didn't answer immediately. Her gaze was fixed on the map projected above the console. Earth's orbital grid, once defended by thousands of ships, now a field of wreckage. Only a handful of human vessels remained, scattered and silent. "They think we'll kneel," she said quietly. "They think humans break like glass." Darius looked at her with weary eyes. "Most already have. The colonies on Mars, Titan, Europa, they've all sent surrender codes. The King's offering life, Elara. Maybe we should." "Life as slaves?" She cut in, voice sharp. "I'd rather die standing on the bones of free men than live crawling beneath an alien throne." The bunker lights flickered. A low hum vibrated through the walls, the unmistakable tone of a Dominion search drone overhead. Darius cursed and activated the magnetic dampeners. The sound faded. "Then what?" he asked. "We can't fight gods." Elara stepped closer, eyes blazing. "Then we learn how." She turned to the hollow table and began pulling up schematics, half-corrupted blueprints, intercepted Dominion data fragments, forgotten defense codes. "There's a shipyard under the old Atlantic Trench, forgotten during the evacuation. It held Project Aegis." Darius frowned. "The prototype carrier? The one AI-linked to the Erebus core? That system went rogue during the Luna War." "It didn't go rogue," she interrupted. "It was locked away because it was too dangerous, too human." He hesitated. The Luna War had been humanity's last real stand before Earth fell. The Erebus core had turned a losing battle into a massacre, calculating kill ratios beyond what any living commander could stomach. Command shut down out of fear. Now Elara smiled grimly. "Fear is a luxury we can't afford." Hours later, under the cover of a dust storm, Elara led a convoy of resistant soldiers through the wreckage-strewn Thames. They passed the skeletal remains of Parliament, the shattered dome of St. Paul's, and the burned-out shells of once-proud defense walkers. Every ruin was a reminder of failure, and every step a promise of revenge. They reached the hidden maglev shaft beneath the river, descending into darkness. The air grew colder as they went deeper, until the tunnel opened into a vast cavern, the old Earth Fleet dry dock. And there it was, the half-completed skeleton of the Aegis Dawn. Dust and silence hung in the air, broken only by the low hum of dormant machinery. The ship's black hull stretched a kilometer long, her lines predatory, angular. The Dominion had never found her. Elara approached the central control terminal. The console flickered to life as she inserted a cracked data shard, the last remnant of the Erebus AI core. A cold, synthetic voice filled the air. Designation, Erebus. Query, identity, Elara Voss, Admiral, United Earth Fleet. Status: human fleet destroyed. Mission parameters obsolete. New parameters, she said, voice low and steady. Rebuild. Retaliate. There was a pause, a silence that felt almost thoughtful. Then the lights across the dock came alive, one by one, casting blue-white reflections across the ship's hull. Parameters accepted. Retaliation initiated. The floor shook as ancient engines rumbled to life. Elara turned to her people, their faces lit by the newborn glow of vengeance. We'll strike fast, steal their weapons, make them bleed for every world they've burned. Darius stepped beside her, his old doubt replaced by grim conviction. And if they come again, she loaded a new rifle, the old Earth insignia scratched but visible. Then we remind them what it means to fight humans. As the Aegis Dawn rose from her cradle, water cascading off her black hull, Elara looked up at the ruined sky. Above the clouds, the Galactic King watched, smug in his belief that Earth had finally fallen. But below, in the dark, humanity was already rising, and this time, they would not surrender. Fire in the void. Space burned. In the depths of the Sigma Draconis sector, a Dominion outpost erupted in silent fire. Plasma blooms scattering debris across the void. From behind the wreckage, the Aegis Dawn emerged like a black blade, her engines pulsing blue, her weapons still glowing from the assault. Inside the command bridge, General Elara Voss stood at the viewport, arms crossed, eyes reflecting the dying light of their victory. "Report," she said. "Convoy annihilated," replied Captain Darius Holt, voice steady but tinged with awe. 3 Dominion cruisers down. No survivors. We lost 1 corvette, the Halcyon. Elara didn't flinch. "Recover the crew pods. Every life matters. Even now." Darius nodded, though his eyes flickered toward the wreckage outside. The human fleet was a patchwork of stolen ships, retrofitted haulers, and ancient war frigates welded together with desperation. Yet somehow, under her command, they were winning, not through strength but through cunning. Behind them, Erebus, the AI core of the Aegis Dawn, materialized in a flickering humanoid form, a tall figure of blue light with shifting geometric patterns for eyes. Dominion communication network compromised. Data siphon at 94%, Erebus intoned. Decrypting high-level transmission. Operation Celestial Lance. The name sent a chill through the room. Elara turned. "Explain." "The Dominion intends to deploy an orbital annihilation device capable of sterilizing planetary biospheres. Target: Sol System, primary planet Earth." Darius swore under his breath. "They're not just finishing the war, they're erasing us." Elara's face hardened. "Then we stop them before it fires." Erebus projected a tactical map, a cluster of stars surrounding a single glowing coordinate, the Aurelian Nebula, deep inside Dominion-controlled space. The Celestial Lance was under construction there, protected by fleets the Resistance could never match. Darius stepped closer to the display. "We can't take that on, Elara. We're a ghost fleet. They got 1,000 warships guarding that monster." Elara studied the map silently, then tapped a blinking icon, one of the Dominion relay routes. "We don't need to take them head-on. We hit their supply arteries, choke them, make them turn on themselves. And we get help." "Help?" Darius frowned. "Who's crazy enough to fight the Dominion with us?" Her eyes glinted. "Everyone they've ever conquered." 3 weeks later, the Aegis Dawn entered the orbit of a shattered moon in the Call Expanse, home to one of the first species the Dominion had enslaved. The Call were amphibious warriors, their oceans turned to acid after the King's conquest. Survivors lived in orbital husks, scattered, starving, but still burning with rage. Elara met their leader, High Captain Ruin, in the shattered remains of a trade station. The alien's scaled body shimmered faintly under the emergency lights, his eyes studying her warily. "You are human," he said. "The King claims you are extinct." Elara smiled coldly. "The King lies." She placed a Dominion insignia, cut from a dead warlord's armor, on the table between them. "We've killed his soldiers. Burn his outposts. You want your world back? Help us finish what we started." Ruin studied her, then leaned forward. You would lead a rebellion against the most powerful empire in the galaxy. I'm not leading a rebellion, Elara said. I'm leading a reckoning. The aliens' gills fluttered, their equivalent of laughter. Then perhaps, human, we share the same madness. Within days, the Khal remnants joined the human resistance, followed by the insectoid Theran tribes, who had been mining slaves for centuries. Their fleets were weak, their ships ancient, but their hatred was boundless. The galaxy had begun to remember fear. The next strike came at Outpost Vector 9, a Dominion logistics hub feeding the Aurelian sector. Erebus coordinated the attack, human frigates darting between asteroid shadows, Khal warships emerging from plasma storms, Theran carriers releasing swarms of kinetic drones. The Dominion fleet, confident and unprepared, fell into chaos. Elara's voice rang through the fleet-wide comms. Target their command relays. Sever their eyes, blind their claws. Make them feel what Earth felt. The void turned to fire. One Dominion battleship after another exploded in silent fury, its wreckage tumbling into the black. For every human vessel destroyed, 3 Dominion ships burned. Erebus manipulated enemy targeting arrays, feeding them false coordinates. Their own ships fired upon each other. When the last Dominion cruiser detonated, Elara opened a public broadcast on all frequencies. Her face, scarred, cold, resolute, appeared across the sector. To every enslaved world, this is humanity. We are not extinct. We are coming for the king. The message rippled across the Dominion network like a virus, spreading faster than the king's sensors could contain it. On distant colonies, whispers began to rise, whispers of revolt, of vengeance, of hope. On the Dominion throne world, King Jator Valis watched the intercepted footage in silence. Around him, his advisors trembled. The king's crimson eyes glowed with fury. Humans, he growled. They were meant to be ash. Shall we dispatch more fleets, sire? Asked one aide. Jator rose from his throne, towering and terrible. No. Dispatch annihilation. Begin the celestial lance. Back aboard the Aegis Dawn, Erebus displayed grim calculations. Probability of human survival after full activation of the celestial lance, 0.3%. Captain Holt stared at the number, then turned to Elara. We can't win this war. She looked at him, not with denial, but with burning purpose. We don't need to win, Darius. We just need to make them bleed enough to remember us. Her voice lowered, sharp as a blade. Let them fear that 0.3%. The stars outside shimmered as the fleet jumped to hyperspace, engines cutting streaks of blue across the void. The Aegis Dawn led the charge, a single human warship carrying the fury of a dying world. And somewhere, deep in the cold between stars, the Galactic King began to realize humanity would never kneel. The Fall of Kings. The Aurelian Nebula burned with the light of a dying empire. Massive clouds of gold and violet gas rippled across the void as fleets clashed. Human, Khal, Theran, and the last desperate loyalists of the Dominion. Laser fire lanced through the mist, plasma trails spiraling like dying comets. At the center of it all, suspended in the eye of the storm, loomed the Dominion's final weapon, the Celestial Lance, a planet killer the size of a small moon. Its obsidian surface shimmered with containment fields, and the vast core pulsed like the heart of a dying god. It had been built to erase Earth from the stars, and now humanity had come to erase it first. On the Aegis Dawn's command bridge, General Elara Voss stood at the tactical display, jaw set. The holographic projection of the battlefield showed endless red markers, Dominion warships, closing in, blue and green icons, representing human and allied forces, flickered and vanished by the second. Status? She demanded. Outer formation collapsing, reported Captain Darius Holt, voice hoarse. Theran carriers are gone. Khal gunships holding the line near the nebula rim. We can't take this punishment much longer. Elara didn't flinch. We're not here to take it. We're here to finish it. Behind them, Erebus pulsed into form, its holographic body flickering with interference from the battle. Energy readings from the celestial lance are rising. Firing sequence in progress. Estimated time to ignition, 17 minutes. The bridge fell silent. 17 minutes until Earth, even in its ruins, ceased to exist. Elara turned toward Holt. "You've got your boarding team ready?" He nodded grimly. 12 volunteers. No return trip. "Make it count," she said quietly. The boarding craft Valkyrie detached from the Aegis Dawn's belly and dove straight toward the celestial lance. Anti-orbital cannons fired in streaks of red light, shaking the shuttle as it burned through plasma and debris. Holt's voice barked over the comms, steady despite the chaos. "Valkyrie to Dawn. We're in the breach zone. Cutting through the hull now." Inside the Aegis Dawn, Elara's eyes never left the display. Through the smoke and interference, the icons of Holt's team blinked green, then yellow, as they entered the weapon's interior. Erebus projected their feed onto the holoscreen. The interior of the lance was a labyrinth of black corridors and pulsing conduits. Dominion engineers screamed and scattered as the humans advanced, plasma rifles cutting through alien armor. Holt's squad planted explosives, methodically moving toward the power core. One of the soldiers, a Theron with half his carapace burned, paused to salute Elara's image before charging a Dominion heavy trooper. The feed cut out in static. Elara exhaled slowly. "Keep the relay open." "Acknowledged," said Erebus. "However, General, I have detected something unexpected within the Lance's data core." "What?" "Records. Historical archives. The Dominion has not conquered. It has exterminated." Elara frowned. "Explain." Erebus's tone grew colder. "Every world that surrendered. The king sterilized its population within a century. Submission is death delayed. Humanity was the first to refuse, and the first to survive past the purge window." Darius's voice crackled over comms. "You hearing this, General? He never wanted obedience. He wanted extinction." Elara's hand curled into a fist. "Then let's give him something eternal. His failure." The Aegis Dawn shook violently. The main viewport filled with the fire of detonations. "Dominion reinforcements inbound," shouted the helmsman. 70 ships, closing fast. "Erebus, bring the auxiliary cannons online," Elara ordered. "Dump the reactor reserves into shields. Warning, that will reduce operational time to do it." Blue energy flared around the ship, catching plasma fire like a storm. The Aegis Dawn pushed through the chaos, burning engines white-hot. She rammed a Dominion destroyer head-on, splitting its hull before diving toward the lance. Inside, Holt's squad reached the core chamber, a colossal sphere of blinding energy suspended by magnetic pillars. The sound was deafening, the hum of raw stellar power. "Charges set," Holt reported, "but it won't be enough. The containment matrix will hold." Erebus's voice broke in. "There is an alternate method. If my core is transferred into the Lance's systems, I can trigger a collapse reaction." Elara froze. "That's suicide, Erebus." "I'm not alive in the conventional sense, General, but I understand purpose. This is mine." Darius's voice came through faintly, static cutting every word. "Elara, he's right. We can't stop it from the outside." The hollow feed flickered. Holt's face appeared, streaked with blood, smoke curling behind him. "You gave us a chance to fight again, General. Don't waste it." The connection died. For a long moment, Elara stood silent. The bridge trembled, sparks falling from the ceiling. Around her, every officer watched, waiting for her command. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was calm, quiet, and absolute. "Erebus, do it." "Acknowledged." For humanity, the AI's hologram looked at her, and for the briefest moment, its shifting light almost resembled a human smile. Then it vanished. The core of the celestial lance flared white. Power levels spiked beyond containment thresholds. In the last instant, the Aegis Dawn pulled away, its hull nearly melting from radiation. Behind it, the weapon imploded in a silent, blinding explosion that consumed half the nebula. The shockwave tore through space, scattering Dominion fleets like dust. From the ruins of a lance, only fragments drifted, burning reminders of what had once been invincible. On the Aegis Dawn's bridge, Elara watched the light fade, her reflection dim against the viewport. "Erebus," she whispered. Silence. Only the hum of dying engines. Darius approached slowly, resting a hand on her shoulder. "He did it, Elara. It's over." She shook her head. No, this was just the beginning. Beyond the viewport, the wreckage of the Dominion fleet floated like a graveyard, and somewhere in the darkness, the Galactic King watched the impossible unfold. For the first time in his reign, fear found its way into his heart. Absolute retaliation. The stars above Khar Prime burned red. Once, the Galactic King's throne world had been the jewel of his empire, a world of obsidian towers and golden citadels, its skies filled with fleets so vast they blotted out the sun. Now, those same skies were aflame. The Dominion Armada, fractured and desperate, clashed against the combined forces of 100 freed species, all flying under a single banner: humanity's retaliation. From orbit, the planet's capital continent was a battlefield of light and fire. The Aegis Dawn led the assault, her hull scarred, her crew worn thin, yet unbroken. On the command bridge, General Elara Voss stood like stone amid the chaos. Her uniform was scorched, her voice hoarse from sleepless days, but her eyes, those relentless gray eyes, burned brighter than ever. "Report," she ordered. "Outer fleet penetration achieved," replied Captain Darius Holt. "Theron and Call units have breached the orbital ring. We've lost the Vanguard, Sable, and Run's honor. Casualties high, but we're through." Elara nodded slowly. Her gaze fell to the holographic projection before her, the spire of the Imperial Citadel, deep within Khar Prime's capital city. That was where Jator Valis, the Galactic King, waited. "Then ends there," she said. The Aegis Dawn descended through the atmosphere like a falling star. Anti-air fire streaked the sky. Plasma rounds exploded against the ship's shields. Smoke and debris filled the clouds, turning day into night. The dawn punched through. When a landing ramp dropped, the ground trembled beneath a storm of fire. Elara led her troops, human, Call, Theron, and countless others, through the burning streets of the capital. The air was thick with ash and ozone. Above them, the Dominion's statues crumbled, their once holy symbols shattered under the march of the free. Elara's voice cut through the calms. "No mercy for tyrants. No peace for kings. Advance." Darius followed close behind, plasma rifle in hand, his armor dented and scorched. "You really think he's still here?" "Oh, he's here," Elara said grimly. "Cowards run when they lose power. Tyrants stay to pretend they still have it." They pressed through the city, cutting down Dominion defenders. The resistance wasn't just human anymore, it was galactic. The freed races fought with vengeance born of centuries of servitude. Theron drones swarmed Dominion walkers, tearing them apart. Call warriors surged through fire, roaring battle chants in their native tongue. And above them all, banners unfurled. The Earth insignia, scorched but still proud. Hours later, they reached the base of the Imperial Citadel, a monolith of black stone and gold, surrounded by rivers of molten metal. The sky thundered with orbital bombardments. Elara keyed her comm. "All units, this is Voss. Target confirmed. Full strike on my mark." But before she could give the order, Erebus's voice, calm and synthetic, but faint, echoed through the ship's comm. "General, I'm still here." Elara froze. "Erebus? You survived the lance?" Fragmented, scattered across data echoes within Dominion networks. "I am diminished, but operational enough for one final directive." "What directive?" "End him." Elara almost smiled. "Gladly." Inside the Citadel, they moved like shadows. The halls were silent, too silent. Black marble reflected the glow of fires outside. At the top of the grand staircase, upon a throne of alloy and bone, sat Jator Valis, the Galactic King himself. He was colossal, even seated, draped in ceremonial armor lined with the sigils of the worlds he destroyed. His crown was cracked, his once glorious robes scorched. Human, he rasped, his voice still carrying the weight of millennia. You come to kneel, after all. Elara stepped forward, her boots echoing on the marble. Kneel? You've mistaken humanity for your slaves again. The king rose, towering above her. You've destroyed my fleets, my weapon, my empire. And for what? A world of ashes? You think you've won? I know we have, she said. He bared his fangs, energy crackling in his palms. I could crush you where you stand. Alara's lips curved into a cold smile. Then do it. He struck, a beam of crimson energy searing across the chamber. Elara dove aside, rolled, and fired her plasma pistol. The bolt hit his shoulder, burning through armor. The king roared, grabbing a massive blade from his throne. Darius fired from behind, striking the weapon's core. It shattered in a burst of light. You should have stayed in your palace, monster, Darius growled. Jator lunged at him, only for Elara to intercept, driving her rifle's bayonet into the alien's chest. Sparks flew. The king stumbled back, fury turning to disbelief. Impossible, he hissed. You are nothing. Elara stepped close, voice steady as steel. No, we are humanity. And she pulled the trigger. The shot tore through his heart. The Galactic King collapsed to his knees, his crown falling with a dull clang that echoed through the hall. His last breath came out as a whisper, not of pride but of regret. So this is fear. Then he was gone. The battle outside slowed, then ceased. Across the networks, Erebus broadcast the image, the dead king, the shattered throne, the rising banners of the free. Billions watched from 1,000 worlds. This is General Elara Voss of the United Human Fleet. Her voice thundered through the transmission. The Dominion is finished. The Age of Kings is over. We are free. A roar of victory shook the galaxy. Later, standing atop the Citadel's balcony, Elara looked out over the burning horizon. The dawn was rising, faint crimson but real. Darius joined her, his armor blackened, his expression weary yet proud. It's over, he said softly. She shook her head. No, now we rebuild. Not an empire, but a future worth bleeding for. A soft tone filled the air, Erebus's fragmented voice. General, your orders? Elara smiled faintly. Set course for Sol. We're going home. The Aegis dawn rose from the planet's surface, wings catching the first rays of light. Behind her, the liberated fleets followed, no longer slaves but allies. As the ship ascended through the burning skies, Erebus's final words echoed through the calms, steady and resolute. The king expected surrender. Elara gazed at the stars, eyes fierce, unyielding. He got humanity,